Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Peter DuPont. I'm managing partner for Asia Clean Energy Partners. We're a co-host of this webinar along with Propel Clean Energy Partners. And I'd like to welcome you to the webinar today. My role is the MC. I'm going to try to keep things light and fun and keep things moving. This webinar is called Building the Clean Power Future, Accelerating the Work of Power Sector Professionals in Southeast Asia. So we hope to achieve three things during this webinar. First, we want to emphasize the critical importance of clean power capacity development and workforce development in achieving a rapid clean energy transition in the Southeast Asia region. Second, we want to showcase what's going on, some interesting clean power capacity development tools and resources relevant to the region. And third, we'd like to introduce the Clean Power Hub as a valuable time-saving platform that helps power sector professionals to do their work. Okay. So with that, we're going to move on to an old friend and colleague, Sohail Hasni from the Asian Development Bank, who will provide some scene-setting remarks. So for those of you who don't know Sohail, he's a force of nature. He somehow manages to work within ADB, but have a big impact on social media and across several regions in Asia. Sohail is a firm believer that the solution to climate change lies in new technology. He's applied new technology to many of his ADB projects as an energy specialist since 2001 in Afghanistan, Cambodia, China, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Mongolia, among other Asian countries. He has an academic background in engineering, business, and entrepreneurship. Before joining ADB, he worked on wholesale electricity market design, pricing regulation, energy efficiency, and demand management for the state power utility and the independent regulator in Melbourne, Australia. And Sohail, I'm glad I wasn't regulated by you, but welcome, and we look forward to hearing your scene-setting remarks.
Good morning, Peter, from Manila. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I just want to take a step back. When I started as a junior engineer in the State Electricity Commission of Victoria in Melbourne, system planning, I was told my peer when I first visited the Hazelwood Power Station, one of the dirtiest power station, most dirtiest in the world. And I was told, this is our future. And this is what makes electricity, and we bring electricity to people. Obviously, that was 1988. A lot has changed. At that time, we never thought the world that we are in today, 33 years later, will be possible. We did not know about solar panel. Maybe a solar panel, 100 watt, which cost about $20 today was $6,000. From a system planning background, those days life was very simple. You build, you deliver, everyone is happy. Today, life is very complicated. The skills that I use today in my everyday job is not what I learned, it's what I gathered from others. So it's very important today that capacity building, the definition has completely changed. You just to keep on learning just to stay relevant, because if you are not relevant anymore, whether you are in a consulting or in a government policy making. So this is why this event is very important, because as solar panel becomes super cheap, batteries used to be $2,000 plus a kilowatt hour. Right now it's about $150. Everything is super efficient. So I think the world that we are in, capacity building is very important. And I'm very happy that you're taking part into this session, whoever you are. Because I'll give an example. In Mongolia, 2002, I did bite into something that was too big. I did the first solar project for the Asian Development Bank. I did not know much, but just wanted to do solar. There was a technical assistance. And then I met Dr. Enebish, who was in the government side. And he has been all the training that ADB has provided, World Bank has provided. And I learned so much from Dr. Enebish. He built my capacity. And then we together build a project, and a lot of people benefited. So I think it's very important that we widen the horizon of capacity building. So that's what I would also suggest, that those who are attending, please connect with everyone else who is attending today. Look around, because connection through social media, connection through other ways, these professional networks are very important. And I looked at the Clean Power Hub website as well. There are a lot of opportunities to connect, build communities. I'll give you another example why it is important. I believe it was about 2015. I was presenting to a Central Asian colleague saying, you know what, gas is a transition fuel. You all have gas. You all have fossil fuel. These are all going to be stranded assets. One senior official from the Uzbekistan government, who is a very good friend now, he came out, pulled me on the side and said, Mr. Hasni, can you just go away? And I looked at him and said, why? He said, you give me stress. I don't like these things. Okay. I put it together and worked with a lot of experts like Peter and others. We did a capacity building initiative for Central Asian governments. We took them to Melbourne, show them how in isolated power places, on-grid batteries in Flinders Island and some other islands, they're doing perfectly okay. They saw, wow, electric vehicle actually works. Yes, we took them all over Tasmania. Yes, wind power works. As a result of all of those, today, we have projects on the electric vehicle in Uzbekistan. We did a large project in Turkmenistan. We are talking about concentrated solar power hybrid with gas in Turkmenistan, the 5th largest producer of gas in the world. So what I would suggest, please spend this time, listen to others, because the capacity building is something we need just to stay relevant. Good morning, everyone, again from Manila. Good afternoon. Thank you. Peter, back to you.
Thank you so much, Sohail. And what I love about that, those introductory remarks is they really focus on the importance of the individuals changing the institutions, especially the, so obviously, as I said, Sohail is a force of nature. He doesn't just go away easily. And maybe if he had gone away, the interest in EVs in Uzbekistan would have lagged another 5 or 10 years. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for setting that up. A couple of housekeeping points I'd like to mention. At the bottom of your screen, you will see a chat button and a Q&A button. So a number of people have introduced themselves. We, in the spirit of building the community, as Sohail said, please introduce yourself in the chat function, who you are, what name of the organization you're with, why you came, or something like that. And feel free to exchange emails, etc. If you have a question for any of the speakers or panelists, please use the question function, and we will answer those as we are going along. And also Mark Lister, my business partner at Asia Clean Energy Partners, who is moderating the panel discussion, will draw on some of those questions as well. So next, I'd like to move on and introduce Shirish Sinha, who's the Director for Climate at the Children's Investment Fund Foundation. Shirish oversees SIF's climate change portfolio in India, which includes work for energy decarbonization, air quality, electric mobility, regenerative agriculture, and ecosystem restoration and climate policy. Quite a broad range of integrated, interlinked problems. He also manages SIF's clean energy transition portfolio in South, Southeast, and East Asia, and a global program on climate ambition and transparency. His career has spanned 25 years in policymaking and program implementation in energy, climate change, and sustainable development policy. Shirish has worked with many national, bilateral, and international organizations. Welcome, Shirish, and we look forward to hearing your remarks.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Greetings from Delhi. And it's a great opportunity. Super excited to be part of this webinar about the launch of Clean Power Hub, which is one of our strategic investments for scaling global capacity on the transition to clean power systems. So as one of the largest global philanthropy working on children, we are seeing that children are fast becoming the collateral damage of multiple global crises. And one of them being the intergenerational burden of climate change and environmental disruptions. So we continue to see that the public and private funds continue to support high carbon and resource intensive systems instead of funding for nature or for future, which is shaped by renewable energy. So together with ClimateWorks Foundation, we decided to support this innovative platform to accelerate the capacity and training around clean power assistance. And the objective is that it speeds up the capacity development through practical, action-oriented guidance and expert support to power sector practitioners working to integrate larger and larger shares of renewable energy. The way we approach from a SIF's perspective is that the global transition to clean power system is possible. Renewable energy technologies now are far more cheaper than fossil fuel, and Asia is leading on that front. And at the same time, the political will is rising. And what we therefore need is the right set of training and capacity building to strengthen the regulatory policy and operational approaches to integrate large share of renewable energy. And we are extremely glad that the Clean Power Hub is focusing on Southeast Asia, especially the Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines, as Southeast Asia is one of the key strategic geographies for us on clean energy transition, along with China and India. Just to kind of illustrate the kind of progress in that work that we are seeing and why we are so excited that Clean Power Hub focuses on Southeast Asia. About 4 years back, when we started through our program interventions in Southeast Asia, fossil fuel and coal was a dominant source of energy. About 400 gigawatt of coal was still being built and was in pipeline. And therefore, what we were seeing is that as a result of a combination of work that we provide of the technical assistance and civil society engagement sector, there's about 82% of the pipeline has been contained. And coal, which was seen as the hope for the future of Asia's energy security, is now very ready to peak and fast dwindling in the region. So, and the fact that in the last few months, we have seen the leadership from the Asian countries like China, Japan, and South Korea, and also to some of the non-state actors, they have re-energized the climate debate and by aligning the vision for a net zero climate action targets. This at SIF, we believe, is a future and a transformative vision. And while there is an alignment on long-term strategy, we need to focus more on short-term actions. So given this as a moment to build on the momentum of the net zero, I think what we need to expand is to the other ASEAN countries. And at this time, we will need to build the capacities, we'll need to build to overcome the different barriers that still exist for large share integration of renewables in the region. So this is where we believe that the Clean Power Hub becomes so critical. As the platform, it can enable broader, faster sharing of know-how on clean power. It has the potential to leverage expertise and know-how of the world's leading power's technical assistance and capacity development institutions. So in Southeast Asia, our work revolves around three initiatives, the three pillars of our work. One is to provide technical assistance support through the involvement of civil society campaigns and the groups in terms of building the know-how. And that's the platform we work through TARA, which is a regional granting entity. We are also providing private capital development facility through CSEF, the Southeast Asia Clean Energy Facility, and the Energy Transition Partnership, which is a technical assistance program. And Sirpa will talk about it in a couple of minutes. So let me end by saying that the rapid transition to clean power around the world is essential if we are to tackle climate change and deliver public benefits as air quality. The Clean Power Hub, the way we see, is not a knowledge hub. It is an action hub. And we believe that the hub will ensure that the practical tools and steps needed to radically increase the share of renewable electricity in a country are available and accessible to all those who need them, supporting action and accelerating the transition with the aim of climate safe future for children. So thank you once again, Peter, for this opportunity, and look forward to this interesting webinar. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Shirish. And I just wanted to highlight something very important, the amount of resources that are targeted to undoing decades, centuries of fossil fuel dependence are really tremendous. And the three pillars of the work that SIF is supporting, again, are working with civil society through the European Climate Foundation and their TARA program. Second is early stage project development facility called the Southeast Asia Clean Energy Facility, or CSEF. And the third is the Energy Transition Partnership, which leads to the next speaker, but I'm going to ask her to wait for just a moment. We have, every time you have a webinar, something silly or funny happens, it seems. We have some imposters in the audience. So there are a number of people who may have the name Jessica McDonald. And so look at your name. This is like walking around, you imagine walking around with somebody else's name tag. A link was shared. So if you see on your screen that it says Jessica McDonald, you can change your name to whatever you want. Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Daffy Duck, or whoever, Elmer Fudd. Or you can change it to your actual name, but you don't have to be Jessica McDonald. So sorry that happened. No worries. We're going to get going here, and that manifests itself if you send a chat. And it says who you're from. It will say the name of the person who you're not. So just check your name. That's it. Now we're going to, on a more serious and exciting tone, we're going to get on to ETP. I'm going to ask Sirpa Yarvanpa to turn on her video while I introduce her. Sirpa heads the Southeast Asian Energy Transition Partnership that we just heard about, and we're going to hear more about now. I'm excited about this talk. She helped to launch it at the Asean Energy Ministerial, I think is in November 2020. ETP is an initiative that aims to deliver joint action, improve coordination, and dialogue to remove impediments to renewable energy efficiency, and sustainable infrastructure. Now, Sirpa has had a very, I'm not going to say long, say effective, effective and storied career. Prior to her current leadership role at ETP, she was part of the Global Green Growth Institute for a few years. Before that, she had a very extensive career and successful career at the Asian Development Bank, leading infrastructure loans and technical assistance origination across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. And this sounds like a fun job. I'd like to have this job, Sirpa. She established the South Pacific office as ADB's first regional director in Suva, Fiji. So Sirpa, I will hand you, you have the floor, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Peter. And thanks also to Sohail and Shirish for the inspiring comments. Energy transition has been said to be the greatest change project since Industrial Revolution, but it's really not just about technology change to a technology that has now become competitive. As the previous speaker said, it's about mind change, and knowledge is at the core of mind change. And in incorporating the energy transition into all development narratives and the development narratives into action. So it is hubs like this, the Clean Power Hub, and webinars like this that are so important and critical for us practitioners sharing information. So thank you very much for having me today and giving me the opportunity to introduce ETP. So I'm Sirpa Yarvanpa, and Director of the Southeast Asian Energy Partnership. I'll show you a few slides. I hope you can see this. So the Energy Partnership brings together a consortium of funders, partners, ranging from philanthropies such as Children Investment Fund Foundation, represented here by Shirish, together with governments. And so it's a powerful partnership that brings diverse strengths into the energy transition pursuit. The partnership, as Peter said, was launched last November at the ASEAN Energy Ministerial business forum. And since then, we have been discussing with governments and with stakeholders in the private sector and civil society, the partnerships and alliances, as well as programs that ETP can deliver to add value and to break through the barriers for energy transition. So the partnership is, just a second. Yes, partnership is aiming at marshalling resources and coordinating resources for the countries in Southeast Asia to attain their sustainable development goals and to make a contribution to the Paris Development Goals. So this sets the North Star indicator for the performance of the partnership, as well as the energy transition here in the region. So the partnership is very focused on its areas of outcomes that it wants to achieve, that is maximizing energy efficiency measures in the region, unleashing the potential of renewable energy, and expanding finance for integrating technologies to expand smart grids, and also enhancing knowledge and skills and awareness in the region among policymakers, regulators, business sector, the civil society, all to unlock the needed investment for renewable investment projects and energy efficiency projects. So I wanted to bring perspective to the capacity building and knowledge development discussion by pointing out maybe something that will be very useful for the practitioners here in the room, and that is to set some results focus. So we would propose that we would talk about and potentially debate what kinds of outcome indicators can we set as our targets, realistically, achievably, measurably, so that we together can marshal the resources and implement the programs to aim at them. So here we are suggesting that outcome number 1 should be that national renewable energy and energy efficiency policies align with climate commitments by 2025. And we are suggesting as an outcome area 2, that energy transition is led by national level institution, led and coordinated, and that resources are marshaled and streamlined towards the goals of the energy transition by a national level institution by 2025. And then outcome number 3, that the renewable energy and energy transition roadmap includes a resource capacity development plan, which is under implementation to expand the capacities in the countries to deliver on the promise of the energy transition. And then outcome number 4, that investment policies create a conducive investment climate for renewable energy and energy efficiency projects, meaning that outcome number 5 can become a reality, that is that renewable energy and energy efficiency projects receive finance from public and private institutions, meaning that they have been de-risked. And then outcome number 6, that we have evidence-based plans and investment in smart grids at 1% per annum, extending these significantly to enhance two-way communication with a consumer and supplier of renewable energy. And then outcome number 7, that energy transitional curricula churns out at least 250 graduates from tertiary schools in Southeast Asian countries. And this should go beyond that to technical levels and all the way to the provincial and municipal levels. And outcome number 8, that a certain number of green jobs are captured, meaning that workforce has been trained to be able to take up these opportunities, and thereby the communities are able to engage in the transition. So when we are discussing these opportunities with our partners, we don't imagine that ETP will do it alone. We will need partnerships and alliances. So we are talking widely with various stakeholders in our 3 countries of operation, international development partners, philanthropies, government and governments, agencies, utilities, obviously, private sector, educational institutions, and civil society. And we want to link up with all of you in the audience as well. The Energy Transition Partnership works together with aligned programs, and some of them were already mentioned by Cherise, such as CASE, the Clean, Affordable, Secure Energy the Technical Assistance Program by the German government, TARA, the Civil Society Consortium, and the Southeast Asian Clean Energy Facility that provides seed capital for investment projects. So we are looking forward to linking up with all of you to develop these alliances and pursue breakthroughs. I just leave you with this last slide to say that we are engaging, our doors are open. This is our 3rd month of operation, and we look forward to making contact with you. We are inviting also additional partners to ETP partnership, and we look forward to having that dialogue with you. We are working towards driving change, and we are talking about bold measures and direct transformation to respond to the dramatic demand increase in energy and electricity, which is slated to double by 2035 and enables us to move directly into energy transition. Although we do recognize that this has to go hand in hand with the conversion programs from the fossil fuel-based power systems, which would otherwise threaten to leave a trail of stranded assets in the wake of the energy transition. We are looking at expanding financing for investments in energy efficiency as well as renewable energy programs, including through educational programs, through bankers, policy makers, and practitioners in the private sector, and making these regular rather than ad hoc support programs. And we are aiming to pursue energy transition at all levels, local levels, national levels, regional levels, in order to achieve a visible change towards renewable energy and energy efficiency. All of this to make good on the Paris Climate Agreement commitments and their promise for cleaner environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sirpa, for those remarks. And you know, if I reflect on that, I think one of the things you talked about, the $27 billion a year for the next 8 years. So we really need to be talking in tens of billions of dollars and not tens of millions of dollars. But the way you put that was, you know, that is the end. The means is marshaling and coordinating resources to break through barriers. And you know, I think it's clear that Clean Power Hub, which is about to be introduced, is one of many tools that will be needed to break through these barriers. I'll also highlight a couple of things you said that I thought were quite interesting. Just, you know, aligning policies with the climate change commitments, having national level institutions leading this effort, and then the importance, of course, the energy transition curricula and green jobs, which leads into the next presenter, Matt Jordan, who will introduce the Clean Power Hub, which is in some ways can be viewed as an action hub, not a knowledge hub, as Cherie said, but also as a workforce development mechanism. So Matt, I met Matt maybe 2012 or something like that, about 8 years ago. And Matt had recently started a CLASS, which is an international NGO, and he single-handedly developed a whole new line of business, which is now most of CLASS business on energy access. Very perceptive, very persuasive, very technically sharp, and has a high EQ and wonderful person to work with. So I'm delighted to be working with him now. Matt has 15 years of diverse and high impact experience in clean energy program development and leadership, stakeholder relations, research and analysis, campaign management, and strategic communications. Matt has researched, consulted on, and written about a wide variety of clean energy issues, including green labeling, building sector decarbonization, innovative financing, greenhouse gas cap and trade schemes, energy efficiency credit markets, and economic development through strategic renewable energy deployment. So Matt, we look forward to hearing about the hub.
Thanks so much, Peter, for the kind introductions. Thank you very much, Sohail and Sharish and Sirpa for the excellent remarks and sort of setting up this conversation about how important capacity development is in Southeast Asia as we transition to cleaner and cleaner power systems. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. My name is Matt Jordan. I'm a principal at Propel Clean Energy Partners, and with many phenomenal partners, we have been developing the Clean Power Hub. It is a new capacity development tool, a platform really that we hope all of you will use and many others throughout Southeast Asia will use as you take your power systems toward greater and greater shares of renewable energy. I'm going to provide some background on the thinking that has gone into the development of the Clean Power Hub, and then I'm going to demonstrate a few of its features and end on ways in which various partners and practitioners can use and make best use of the Clean Power Hub. First, transitioning to cleaner and cleaner power systems with greater and greater shares of renewable energy, as we've heard, is possible no matter where you are, and it's increasingly cost effective everywhere, all over the world. But business as usual when it comes to policy, operations, investment, it won't get us there, and certainly not fast enough. So to make good on the promise of clean power, we all need to learn how to plan for clean power, how to develop it, how to invest in it, and how to create and implement policies that level the playing field for renewables. And we have to do this as quickly as possible. And that's where capacity development comes in. Leading global, regional, and national experts are all doing very strong, important, very valuable work to develop and share the know-how needed to realize the clean power future. These institutions, these individuals, they're pioneering work in technology, policy, and business, and they're sharing it so that you can get the work done too. If you have a question about designing a specific piece of regulation or achieving a policy goal or creating more flexibility in your power system operations so that you can better manage fluctuations in supply and demand, someone out there has done it before and they want to help you figure out how to do it for your own power system. The problem is that there aren't nearly enough of these people to go around, and accessing their expertise can be challenging. I'm going to share my screen here just a moment. There we go. Yeah, accessing this expertise, accessing these people and institutions can be tough. You know, maybe you don't have the time to read a bunch of lengthy, detailed reports or participate in a bunch of workshops or webinars in the hopes that you can apply what you find there and learn there to what you need to do this week. Or maybe you simply don't have the budget to hire the right team or engage the right consultant to help you plan out and execute a project. You are a busy professional, you have deadlines and competing demands for your time and resources, and you have your own challenging operating environment to navigate. The Clean Power Hub is designed with busy power sector professionals like you in mind, and we have three major goals. First, we want to clarify and streamline the work of the clean power transition. We want to make the work itself as accessible and as clear and as understandable as possible for as many people as possible. Second, we want to provide Southeast Asia's power sector professionals with practical guidance on how to get the work done. We want to meet busy, hardworking professionals like you where your needs are, and we want to help you define and execute clear, effective work plans that get the job done. And finally, where this guidance is incomplete or doesn't reflect the specifics or nuances of your operating environment and the challenges you face every day, we want to get you talking to experts, peers, or instructors who can help you define and take the next step. People who can help you take the work forward as quickly and efficiently as possible. So with these goals in mind, let me show you what we're building here with the Clean Power Hub. Let's say that you are a power sector professional and you find the Clean Power Hub. We speak to you as directly and simply as we can, not about concept or big picture vision statements or long-term pathways or goals or anything abstract. We speak to you about the work that you do and the work that you need to do. So what is it that you're doing? Well, let's say that you are a power systems analyst and you have been asked to lead up a new grid integration study effort. Maybe you have done a variety of these studies in the past, but this is the first one you've been asked to lead. maybe you've never done one and you need to sort of bone up and get in seat to do the work. From inception to finding the right stakeholders, to scoping, to bringing the stakeholders together, to collecting the data that you need, from selecting the model and identifying the software you may need and getting trained up on that software, to analyzing the results and communicating them out to your stakeholders, public and private. The Clean Power Hub gives you effectively a sample work plan to follow. And you can follow it step by step in sort of numerical order here. Or you can jump right ahead to the part of the work that you're working on today. For example, let's say that you need to sort of really define and really home in on what kind of model you're trying to do and trying to run to answer the questions that you and your policymakers and stakeholders have. The Clean Power Hub gives you what you need to know right up top. And then it supports all of that with excerpts from some of the world's best resources on clean power. Here are some excerpts from various NREL documents. NREL is great on grid integration studies, among many other things. We give you excerpts because we're trying to speed things up for you. We're trying to make it as efficient as possible for you. But we also give you links to the longer, more detailed resources if you have the time to read those as well. Then down below here, you are suggested some actions and next steps. And these actions and next steps effectively function as task lines or deliverables within the broader work plan, stuff you need to do in order to take the project forward. You're also given plenty of opportunities to talk to people, either by accessing the Clean Power Hub Community Forum, which I'll address in just a minute here, or by speaking directly to an expert through the Ask the Expert service, which I'll also address. This is just one use case, right? A grid integration study for a specific power sector professional with specific needs, but it does highlight what we're trying to do with the Clean Power Hub. We focus on the work and we focus on simplifying your efforts to get the expert guidance you need when you need it to get your work done. We give you direct, immediate access to relevant expert tools, resources, and templates, all of which are excerpted and focused to help you save time. And the Clean Power Hub gives you easy, free opportunities to troubleshoot issues in real time, in conversation with peers and experts. So what I've just touched on there is one of the Clean Power Hub's guides. But the guides are just a part of a suite of integrated offerings that are being developed and improved every day to help your work along. Those include the Clean Power Hub Community Forum, which is an online peer-to-peer networking and discussion platform that various professionals and international partners can use in a variety of ways to engage with one another. Professional development courses, which are cohort and project-based executive education courses developed and delivered by leading international institutions, really the types of institutions you want to be learning from, and an Ask the Expert service where you can request free short-term consultancies with some of the world's best experts on clean power. So this is what the Clean Power Hub does for its users. But for capacity development professionals, various development finance organizations, bilateral organizations, consultants, and others that are delivering technical assistance on clean power and really doing the work to sort of build capacity and spread clean power know-how. What's in it for you? What's the point of the Clean Power Hub for you? What's the value? Well, in many respects, we have developed the Clean Power Hub to serve as a clean power capacity development and technical assistance accelerator. Our hope is that the Clean Power Hub can help capacity development professionals like you get greater impact out of every engagement and stretch every dollar of funder support further to get more impact. And we hope that it will help you reach new audiences with your expertise and services. And we hope that it will help make your existing work more efficient and will take your support of your existing partners and clients farther and faster. So what can you do about it? Well, the Clean Power Hub is driven by partnerships, and we're working every day with leading institutions like yours to develop and deliver content and to reach and serve more and more Southeast Asian power sector professionals. Maybe you want to translate a recent report or analysis or set of policy recommendations into step-by-step guides for participants, for practitioners. We can do that with you. We can work together to do exactly that. Or maybe you're interested in delivering and developing your own executive education course or professional development course. That's another thing that we can do. Or maybe you'd like to interact directly with professionals from around the region and other experts through the community forum. That's a thing we'd love to see you do. There's a lot of opportunities to work together, and as a community, we need to work together to succeed. So if anything you've seen so far sparks your interest or catches your eye or generates sort of any thoughts about sort of collaboration and partnership, please be in touch. We want to work with you. So that's it. That's the Clean Power Hub. It is a tool to help more people make more progress on clean power faster and more efficiently. If you're interested in discussing ideas about how it can be more useful for you, how you and your colleagues can use it, we want to hear from you. So please do be in touch. I will add one last thing. I would be remiss if I did not ask for this. This is a brand new tool. The Clean Power Hub is brand new. And it's only useful if people like you use it. So if you like what you see here, please share the Clean Power Hub with your network and colleagues. And if you have thoughts about how it can serve you better or ideas about who might benefit from it or make good use of it, please reach out because we'd love to talk to you about that. I'll stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was really great. And now we know a little more about the Clean Power Hub. And paraphrasing your words, it's a capacity building and technical assistance accelerator for clean power professionals and helping you to get your work done, you being power sector professionals. Before we move on to the next speaker, I'd like to just remind you to ask questions. We've had so far, I think, just one question, which is a really, really tough question about how to move Asean away from coal as a baseload fuel and the role that utility. Rendika, could you hold on a sec? Yeah, utility scale storage can play in that. And I think Sohail is actually crafting or may have crafted a response already. So again, just picking up on what Matt was saying, please go to the Clean Power Hub, join the community forum. These events are good. There's lots of introductions in the chat box here, but this is a one-time event. And we want to sort of institutionalize this to the extent we can. I also mentioned another good example of, the importance of networking and across platforms is a number of members of the CASE program, which Sirpa mentioned, the Clean, Affordable, and Secure Energy, which is led by GIZ, a very important program working in Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand. A number of participants in that consortium from these countries working on these very same issues, evidence-based research and evidence-based policymaking around the clean energy transition are on the call, and that's great. So now I'd like to introduce the next speaker, who will, Rendika, you can turn on your video now. And Rendika Wijakun is an electrical engineer with the utility in Sri Lanka, which is the Ceylon Electricity Board. Rendika comes here as a power sector professional in the trenches, working for many years on many of these issues that addressed by the Clean Power Hub. He's been a collaborator and has provided input during its design. He's a chartered electrical engineer and has been working at the Transmission and Generation Planning branch of CEB since 2012. He has BSc and MSc engineering degrees from the University of Peradeniya. He's mainly engaged in the preparation of long-term generation expansion plans for the Sri Lanka utility. And he also conducts renewable energy integration studies, which is sort of a core area in the initial modules for the Clean Power Hub. He's been a part of a team that performed several rounds of renewable energy grid integration studies in Sri Lanka, and he's a local member of the World Energy Council, engaged on energy sector matters and publications. Rendika, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Peter, and greetings from Sri Lanka to everyone. And I'm really glad to be a part of this important session where the new exciting platform, the Clean Power Hub, is introduced to us, and where we talk about capacity building needs. And I really thank the Children Investment Fund Foundation and Propel Clean Energy Partners and NWEL and other institutions for making this exciting platform available for different kind of practitioners like us in the region and who are working on different activities on clean energy transition. Now, I myself have been working as a generation planning engineer in the Ceylon Electricity Board for 8 years in Sri Lanka. Well, it is the state-owned utility of Sri Lanka, and we being a country in the region, which is more ambitious on clean energy development, we have taken a number of steps in that direction over the past several years. And well, we consider that the capacity building is one of the important factors in this process. And therefore, I'm really happy to share some of our experiences and challenges that we encountered in our initial years, and how a guiding platform like this Clean Power Hub could have helped us if we had it at that time, and how to make use of it right now. And now, several years back, just as in other countries, when Sri Lanka started setting clean energy targets several years back, then many number of questions came into the minds of the decision makers, regulators, utilities, and maybe system operators, and so on, and other stakeholders. Therefore, the Ceylon Electricity Board, being in the business of generation, transmission, and distribution in the country, the utility decided now, okay, now we need to do a grid integration study if we are to answer these questions. Now, then the studies team got together, and we decided on how to conduct a study in-house. And one good advantage we had was that we had a good, well-established planning process, as well as a planning department, performing the usual system planning work. But with these new requirements on grid integration studies and the new challenges, we had to build our capacities on our own. And then we started the process of doing this initial grid integration study. I'm especially focusing on the grid integration study side, and we started our initial study in 2015. 2015, the study team got together, and we tried to design our study to answer the system-specific question in our country. And then we looked at the right kind of tools, the modeling tools, and to actually get some insight on these challenges. And we procured the tools, and then came the needs on building capacities on handling these tools. And with that came the requirement of a lot of data, because this exercises by itself is a very data intensive, and it requires many number of data sets. It could be the resource data, it could be the technology related data, it could be the techno-economic data. So therefore, we had to get these all pieces together, we had to go through the kind of leading integration studies done by other institutions in other countries, and the best practices in other systems. And probably sometimes there were some research gaps in addressing those challenges. Now, with all that, we had to build our capacities on our own to conduct these studies in-house. In 2015, we conduct this study. And right now, we have conducted about 3 rounds of study, and we have actually progressively enhanced our study significantly. That is only by the capacity building, and significant amount of effort went into capacity building on our own. And I think that requirement, I think, already felt by the other country in the system already, or if not, I'm sure that other systems also will face the same requirements in the time to come. Therefore, I think this platform like a Clean Power Hub, which is which provides the access at a single point to all these resources, probably other grid integration studies, especially the guideline documents requirements on how to conduct the grid integration studies, and access to the data sets, international data sets, and other technological data sets, and so on. Therefore, if you're working on the grid integration study, this is really a good opportunity to build our capacity on our own, but in a very convenient manner. And it is not only for the grid integration study. You know, if any practitioner who is working on the grid integration study, or it may be clean energy policy, or clean energy or development regulations, or some of the other matters like energy storage or power system flexibility, there is some allocation in the Clean Power Hub to have a look at and get some more insight to the problems. Therefore, I strongly think that this is a very good opportunity for anyone who is already working in these activities in the clean energy transition, as well as who is planning to start these activities. The Clean Power Hub is a very good opportunity to build their own capacities. And I strongly suggest you to and encourage you to come and have a look at this Clean Power Hub and try to make the best use of it to conduct your studies more effectively, so that you can produce quality results and with building capacity. And of course, it will help convey the outcome to the decision makers, and it will help the decision making process much more effectively ultimately. So I will really like you to have the engagement with the Clean Power Hub, and I also hope the Clean Power Hub to move forward with more and more updates in the time to come as our challenges evolve. And I hope with this, thoughts shared from Sri Lankan perspective, it spurred some thought in you on how to develop capacities on our own, which opportunities are like the Clean Power Hub. And with that, I end my remark, very brief remark, and thank you very much for the patience.
Thank you very much, Randika. And no, it's really important to hear examples like this. You had to start from scratch doing a renewable energy grid integration study. So what do you do? And that's sort of the premise behind the Clean Power Hub, is taking information that's available and making it available in different places and putting it in a single place where clean power sector professionals can access it and learn from each other and talk to each other. So the next, we're going to go into a panel discussion, and it's on know-how and capacity needs of clean power sector professionals. So we've got a really nice panel coming up. First, I'd like to introduce the moderator, who, luckily for me, there was life after Trump. I used to be the senior climate change advisor for USAID, and then everyone thought Hillary Clinton was going to be elected, and Trump was elected, so I lost my job. Unfortunately, he didn't tweet and fire me. I wasn't that important. Anyway, I found Mark Lister. In fact, I knew Mark Lister, but we decided to set up our small company, Asia Clean Energy Partners. And it's a pleasure to work with Mark, and he's a great moderator, but of course I'm biased. Anyway, Mark started out in corporate finance, specializing in energy efficiency almost 20 years ago. He's become a leading advocate for expanded deployment of energy efficiency. During that time, he's been involved with the energy efficiency industry in Australia as an advocate, working on grassroots projects in sub-Saharan Africa, and he's lectured in postgraduate sustainable energy courses. Before we got together and set up our company, Mark led the Copenhagen Center on Energy Efficiency, which is the global energy efficiency hub of the Sustainable Energy for All initiative, which aims to double the rate of global energy efficiency improvement by 2030. In January of last year, Mark was also appointed chair of the Efficiency Evaluation Organization. So I'm going to introduce Mark, and I would also like the three panelists, Benny, Nian, and Bethany, to please turn on your video so you become part of the panel, and then Mark will take it from there. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much, Peter. And just to be clear, I don't think you found me. I think we found each other, in terms of setting up our company. So welcome to all the panelists, and thanks for the introduction, Peter, to what I think is a really well framed up panel that we have now. And I think it's, thanks to all the speakers who've gone before so far in the session. We have about half an hour now to drop into the the sort of more pragmatic practitioner discussion, I guess, continuing on from Randika's remarks. I think the early speakers have actually outlined very well the transition that's underway and the scale of that transition and maybe some of the targets in that. But it's also very clear that there's a lot of work to be done to build up the skills in the Southeast Asian region as well to be able to actually bring that into effect. So the message that I got loud and clear about that was that there is need and there is room for something like the Clean Power Hub, as Matt so ably presented, looking at a consistent knowledge base informed by best practice and importantly broken down into usable steps for practitioners to actually take advantage of. So that whole framing is really important to now ask our experts on the panel who are working on these issues day to day and can bring more of that practitioner perspective on what they're seeing that are the capacity needs and challenges in the region. So I will introduce them one by one and give them a chance to introduce their take on this issue. I do want to encourage you to continue to ask questions in the Q&A box. We have a few questions that I will get to in the course of this panel. But we also have so many professionals on the call. You know, we've had introductions there from people in multiple countries. I think we have all of the major Asean countries represented on the call, and you're all working on these issues as practitioners. So this is the time to start a discussion on common interests and common needs. We will try to make sure that you have good information to continue that discussion through the community forum of the Clean Power Hub. But let me introduce our panelists, and I'll first call on Benny Suryadi from the ASEAN Centre for Energy. So a very quick introduction. Benny is representing one of the go-to energy organizations in the region. The ASEAN Centre for Energy is an intergovernmental organization with its 10 member states. And they're looking at a range of issues around building this coordinated, focused, robust energy policy agenda. So Benny leads a whole lot of studies and a whole lot of work for ACE, as it's known, ASEAN Centre for Energy, policy recommendations for power connectivity, market integration. He's also significantly led the development of the 6th ASEAN Energy Outlook. So he has a very good handle on developments across the region. So Benny, the question that I'll ask you to maybe just give us a quick introduction of yourself, your organization, and what you're doing in clean power capacity development and some of the capacity challenges and opportunities that you see in which this subject matter today plays into and can maybe assist. Please take the floor. Thanks.
Right. Hello, Mark. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Hello, everyone. Warm greeting from Jakarta, Indonesia. As introduced by Mark, I'm Benny from the ASEAN Center for Energy, or for short it's called ACE. As Mark mentioned, the institution that I'm representing for is working on the interests of the 10 countries in Southeast Asia on their energy cooperation, supporting their common goal on accelerating the energy transition and strengthening energy resilience. This is a hot word that we hear recently, through the greater innovation and cooperation within the ASEAN region and beyond. And in ACE, in my daily work, I'm managing the research department on the power, fossil fuel, alternative energy, and energy storage. So we are conducting studies, we are conducting research and giving advocacy to policy makers on the various levels, be it on the technical level or high level at the ministerial meeting. Clean power capacity development is pretty much the center of our work now. I mean, many of you already know that ASEAN nations have a collective target to reach the 20% renewable energy in the energy mix by 2025. So it's around 5 years from now, including the target to have 35% of the installed power is coming from renewable energy. Any significant need of the additional capacity compared to what we have today. In practical number, it's equal to having around 60 to 100 gigawatt of renewable energy coming on board for the next 5 years. So today, many countries in the region still depend heavily on the fossil fuels, be it on oil, natural gas, and coal. And from our recent study, the 6th Asean Energy Outlook, under the current policy for the next 5 or 10 or 20 years ahead, fossil fuels continue to provide the majority of energy mix. So, but the good thing is the country in the region have made a commitment toward sustainable energy, toward the clean power development, both at the national and regional level. The challenge now on how to make the progress that we have in recent years can be escalated and upscaled, because key choice will determine the directive that this region is having. But to as much as the challenge that we are facing, there is also a huge opportunity ahead. One of it is speaking from the perspective of the potential from our ongoing studies supported by USAID Clean Power Asia, which is Peter has helped me to kick off these studies. The region has around 8,000 gigawatt technical potential on solar and around 400 on wind. To achieve the goals that we want in 2025, we only need to utilize 1 to 4% of this technical potential. That's one opportunity. Another is technology deployment, how the cost is declining, how the technology can be absorbed by many utility in the region today. So this is a few opportunities that ahead for us in doing the clean power development. I've stopped there. Thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Benny. Some really interesting points you make there, and I think interesting to sort of think about the issues that you're grappling with and looking at how utilities can reposition and system operators can think about these things. I want to pick up on something that Matt said earlier as well in relation to, I suppose, the overarching, one of the overarching functions of their work, which is that in all these questions, people bump up against an area where they don't have the skills or they're not sure how to proceed, but people have done this before. So it's about being able to access those experts and look at how they can actually contribute to, you know, the pathway through this to make decisions and take actions to accelerate the transition. Let's move on to Nguyen Ngo, who is with the Vietnam Initiative for Energy Transition, or VIET. Nguyen's been a great advocate for this work through her role. It's a great organization working to really inform the energy transition in that country. And she also has a background in development of offshore wind. So we've had some engagements over the time, but you have a good practitioner perspective, I think, on the state of industry in Vietnam and maybe more broadly. So please, Nguyen, can you just quickly introduce your organization and tell us your perspective on this question of clean energy capacity for the transition? Thanks.
Thanks, Mark, for the introduction. So good morning, everyone from Hanoi, Vietnam. So yes, my name is Nguyen, and I have been working in this sector since 2009. At that time, people were teasing me that renewable energy is tiny energy. So I start my work by contributing to develop the survey of renewable energy potential maps with the World Bank as an independent consultant, and later on support in setting up the policy mechanism for the renewable energy in Vietnam. And now I'm working as the executive director of the Vietnam Initiative for Energy Transition. Our organization is an independent think tank with a mission to accelerate the energy transition of Vietnam toward low carbon society in the sustainable and reliable manner. So our main objective is to deliver the fact-based analysis on the key drivers for the energy transition and provide a platform for discussion on the technological, economic, and policy aspect for the Vietnamese energy sector. So regarding to the question that Matt tell us, so I would like to share our view on the clean power capacity challenge in Vietnam. So the rapid transition of energy in Vietnam has led to requests for the innovative methods of the market management and power system balancing, and of course the new technology as well. So accordingly, continuous updating a new technical knowledge and skill is required. And this also requires policymakers to make policy innovation decisions that match and react immediately to the market requirement. So in Vietnam, I can see the technical group need further training in their ability to identify the factors that enhance the flexibility of the egg power plant, and to install, operate, and maintain the renewable energy power system. And the electricity system operator needs capacity building on the power system operational plan, grid integration, and balancing the power system. The group of the policymaker needs update information on the energy market, transparency, and lesson learned from the other country. So consider the COVID pandemic context. I think an online capacity building hub will be an excellent idea, and the policy decision support system should be established urgently. So that is my thought about the capacity challenge and opportunity in Vietnam.
Great, Nguyen. Thanks very much for the introduction to what you're doing and what you're grappling with there. I think it's really interesting that you talk about the need for consistency between different actors, including policymakers being enabled with the right information to be able to be emboldened to take decisions. As I think Shirish mentioned earlier, political will on these issues is rising in the region. So we need to embolden, political level decision makers to take actions, but that needs to be backed up with the capability for their system operators and those who are going to enact those ambitions to actually deliver. So that's where I think it's interesting to look at the Clean Power Hub as well as a canvas on which to develop a range of needs for different players, because it is quite modular as presented. And we can think about where the next development needs to happen in collaboration with local partners. Let's hear also from our third panelist. Very pleased to have Bethany as part of the panel. Bethany Spear is an analyst with NREL, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory in the US, and her areas of focus are on domestic and international energy policy and finance, looking at legal and regulatory issues for third parties, looking at risk mitigation, looking at local innovations. And I know that Bethany is very involved in the region in a number of initiatives. So Bethany, maybe just give us a quick introduction and your take on this question of what capacity might be needed in the region.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, and good morning, everyone. I'm really pleased to be able to join you, not just the panelists, but also the really impressive group of participants. So I'm really excited too to see all the questions coming in. In terms of my role and, just to highlight, I guess, the work that we're doing in the region and how it kind of plugs into the Clean Power Hub and this great ecosystem of partners. So we, work around a few kind of key work streams in Southeast Asia specifically. So one is working with folks like Shirish at the Children's Investment Fund Foundation on efforts around grid planning and policy technical assistance that really seeks to build the capacity of key government utility counterparts to develop really well-informed policies and national development plans. We've also been working with the Asean Center for Energy, so Benny and colleagues, under the Global Power System Transformation Consortium, or GPST for short. So that's really an international platform that brings together 11 founding system operators and a broad group of leading research and technical institutes. And the purpose is really to provide an international platform for system operators to exchange best practices, conduct joint research, adopt local technology standards, and support workforce development. There really enables applied, improved engineering and operational practices by system operators. So really putting system operators at the forefront forefront of this effort, because we really see them as potential champions and a key piece of the puzzle in terms of enabling clean energy transition. Another area where we're plugging in Southeast Asia is under the Clean Energy Investment Accelerator, or CEIA. So that's a public-private partnership that we're implementing together with the World Resources Institute and allotrope partners in Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines. That's really all about addressing market and policy barriers to decarbonizing the commercial and industrial sectors. And then also, I've had the pleasure of working really closely with the Clean Power Hub team and bringing in a broader group of folks from NREL to collaborate on developing elements of the Clean Power Hub. And we really see the Clean Power Hub as a really impactful platform for amplifying all of our work by ensuring that we reach a broader audience, in addition to kind of our direct collaborations. And we see it also as sort of providing a clearinghouse of what are the key actions that need to be taken to support the clean energy transition. What do we know now? And also, working together within this ecosystem, what do we need to figure out together? What actions are missing, and how can we collaborate to determine what those should look like? So in terms of kind of some of the challenges and opportunities, I think they're sort of two sides of the same coin. But some of the capacity challenges and some of the areas where we see, we can work together to address these are, I think we've kind of touched on these a little bit, but, lack of good data, tools, methodologies, and visualizations. They can really enable well-informed policies and plans that appropriately characterize and value variable renewable energy and support decision makers in making evidence-based decisions. Another key challenge is around system operations, and the fact that many system operators do not yet have the engineering and operational solutions that they need to integrate higher levels of clean energy. So the old solutions, the old tools, the old approaches are not going to work in this new paradigm where we have decentralized energy, digitalization, a variety of different business models and other complications. So we really need new solutions, and we need to work together to develop those. A third challenge and opportunity for us to work together is really around the enabling environments for driving private sector investment at scale. Of course, it's already happening, but how do we ramp that up significantly? So of course, governments and utilities can't finance the clean energy transition alone. So we really need to work together, build off of the momentum that we have. There's many companies that are highly motivated to implement much more ambitious climate change targets. But we need to make sure that they have a variety of procurement options and clear and transparent regulations, different business models that they can access. So that's kind of my summary of both challenges and opportunities to work together. I'll hand it back to you, Mark.
Thank you so much, Bethany. And from that summary, I think you're not going to be out of work anytime soon. There's plenty of challenges and plenty of issues across the whole range of different actors in this ecosystem of clean energy transition. I'm conscious we only have about 10 minutes left for discussion and panel, and I do want to give a chance for a couple of questions from the audience to be answered. So I might go to those now. There's a question here, maybe to you, Benny, but others can maybe quickly respond from Padmanabhan, if I pronounce that correct. What are the prospects of a regional grid among ASEAN countries to promote balancing of power to enable integration of renewable energy in the country's power systems? And I guess where are we in that question about capacity to be able to make that happen? Is that an area where more knowledge, more action-oriented sort of guidance is required? So maybe a quick answer from you on that one, Benny.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you, Padu, for the question. I make a short disclaimer first that we are working on, as I mentioned, that we are working on updating the master plan on the ASEAN power grid integration, a study that trying to connect all the power system in all of 10 countries. This is the ongoing study. We expected it to be ready by mid of this year. So at that moment, I will be able to provide you more response on the question. But what I can share at this point is in the current study that we are developing, that we are looking at the power system in every country as the integrated region power system. So it's not only as the individual power system of Indonesia or Malaysia or Singapore, but we are looking is at the integrated power system. And through the integrated of the power system, it allowing us to mobilizing, optimizing the potential resource that we have. For example, that we have a huge abundant hydropowers in a Lao that can be utilized to generate the power for the region beyond the countries. We also, as mentioned earlier, we have also around 8,000 technical potential on the solar that from the study that we have conducted with USA with the NREL. This also the resource is there, but it's not on that countries to use it, but can be utilized to interconnection among the countries. So this is where we are right now, that we see that how renewable energy can be a major part of the interconnection among the countries. So it can balance the supply. We can also have a more effective or efficient infrastructure development. But of course, this will need integration of all, be it on technical and also the human resource, the capacity building, the peoples that we are looking for. That's my short response on that one, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Benny. I mean, it's a very big question, but it does point to the need for, as you said at the end there, very consistent approaches to, basically understanding of the situation, information availability, coordination between different approaches here, rather than overlap, duplication, or maybe different starting points. So all the more important to have a sort of a coordinated and centralized hub to actually help to inform that activity. I want to mention that all Q&A questions that have been asked, we won't be able to get to them all because you've been active in asking questions, but we will answer them in post-event reports. So do please keep them coming in. And maybe to just pick up on your comment, Bethany, and yours, Benny, the point that there are actually a lot of actors involved across different localities, different sectors. We have policymakers, system operators, utility managers, potentially investors, project developers, everyone. This is a question actually in the Q&A from Tamor Nabili. So everyone is engaged in this conversation and this challenge. We are working on this, and I think everyone is motivated in the same direction. Bethany, I think you phrased it as, what is it that we need to figure out together? So the question from Tamor is about, how do you think we can actually knit these communities together effectively? How do we move forward on this and actually sort of create that effective cohesion? Maybe just some general comment on that. Maybe Bethany, you're probably well placed to answer on that one.
Yeah, one tool that we really like to use is, communities of practice. And I know we've been talking with the Clean Power Hub about how we can also support that approach, but I think it's really helpful to bring together a cohort of people who are focused on a targeted issue and really bring them together on a regular basis over a prolonged period of time, so that they really develop a community for peer learning and sharing, and that they kind of mature in their knowledge together and really ultimately work together to solve different issues. But I think it's really important to design these communities of practice so that they're really helping everyone solve issues in their day jobs. So it's not something extra, it's not something just extracurricular or for fun, but it's really meant to roll up your sleeves. How can we help you do your job? Recognizing that so many groups have limited human resources and other resources. So that's kind of one solution that comes to mind.
Okay, thanks. Nien, do you have anything to add there from your experience in working on these issues with different stakeholders in Vietnam? You're on mute. Thanks.
Yes, I think it's the there are some I think it's really in the future in Vietnam we can see there are so many like actors who support the government and support to improve the capacity of the human resources in Vietnam. But I believe that with the young population and quick learning of the new technology and the government strong commitment, then we already see that Vietnam made significant milestone in terms of the clean energy transition in the last 3 years, and we have been most of the change is works on the solar energy, but in the next term we will need to have a more human resources for the green energy development in Vietnam. So we need to have more people who work in that sector and contribute in the supply chain of the sector and really benefit from the development of the clean energy in Vietnam. So I believe that the different partners who play in the market will support the Vietnamese people to have a sustainable development of the clean energy transition.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, it's clear from the activity in the Q&A panel that we won't be able to get to all the questions today. It's been a great discussion, a great insight into your various roles and perspectives. I just maybe in closing want to give you 30 seconds each to give some comment on the question, sort of a final word, if you like, about what gives you hope, I suppose, or optimism that the rapid clean energy transition that we all hope to see in the Southeast Asian region. What gives you hope that this is possible? So some positive signs that you see that we can build on. Maybe Benny, you go first.
All right, thank you, Mark. I mean, I have a long list on that one, but as you're only giving me 30 seconds, I think one of the most important thing that giving hope is we are doing this as a collaborative effort. So I mean, it's gonna be everybody is coming on board, everybody is engaging, everybody is sharing. That's gonna be what you are doing and what we're doing. Let's do it collaboratively. That's gonna be everybody is doing a great work for the many years individually, but it's now time that we are doing it collectively. And by collectively, that we definitely will be able to upscale it, to escalate it, to do it more rapidly. And I'm not trying to be ambassador for the Clean Power Hub, but the way I see is this will help us to do this collectively together in a very effective way. There is a hope where everybody can jump in, where everybody can share their expertise, their experience, so without a long bureaucratic process, without having a question, who need to you contact, who need to you asking, you just go with this kind of hub. So this for me is, again, I'm not trying to be an ambassador for the Clean Power Hub, but this to me is very, 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 very hopeful to escalate it to do for the rapid energy transition in the region. Thank you, ma'am.
Great, thank you so much, Benny. And Nien, any final remarks from you on the question of what gives you some optimism or a positive sense about the transition? You're on mute, Nien.
Yes, so for the clean energy transition in Southeast Asia, then I think the upgrade and expand the interconnection grid system and fostering the flexibility power system is the first priority for the clean power development. So sharing expertise and information is very important. So I think in general, the investment of the power sector in Southeast ASEAN, we need to increase significantly, and whichever the way the power develops. Recently, the ASEAN Minister of the Energy meeting has discussion among the leaders on the future cooperation mechanism to meet the energy security, sustainability, and asset goal for the region. So I think if the leader is timing reaction, will lead to the right decision in preparation of the human resource with high skill and Apple policy to encourage the investment in the markets. So yeah, that is
Great.
my thought.
Yeah, I agree with you that there's a lot of positive movement and we need to be prepared for that higher level of activity. Bethany, any final words before we close the panel?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that gives me optimism. I think one is just, all the tremendous local talent in the region and the local champions who are really interested in spearheading this transition. And so I think if we can just work together and help provide, additional resources and help really, identify kind of the next steps, the key actions that really need to be undertaken, I think we'll see a lot more progress. Another thing that gives me optimism is just sort of some of the recent policy developments that I think indicate some increased political will. So, we've seen the Vietnam rooftop solar market and the solar market in general just explode, going up to, over 9 gigawatts in a year and a half or two. So it's really impressive. And similar, exciting developments in other markets. In Indonesia, PLN is now offering green products to large energy users, so they have the choice to procure clean energy. In the Philippines, the recent coal moratorium, and they're working on a whole slew of different policies there on green energy auctions, green energy options, and a variety of others. So I think we're starting to see some indications that things are really going in the right direction, and I think there's a lot of momentum that we can build upon.
Great, what a positive note to end on. I think that your observations there are probably very much shared by most of the audience. This is a great time to be working in this sector. There's so many opportunities. Thanks so much. I think there's much more to say. It's kind of a shame or sad to end the conversation on the panel, but we are at time. So it's not the end of the discussion. In the chat, there's been some posts as well about sharing your experience or asking more questions. The Clean Power Hub has a community forum, as been mentioned. We would really encourage you to sign up for that and keep the conversation going with other clean power professionals like yourselves on the call. And I should mention, it hasn't been mentioned so far, that the Clean Power Hub is free to access. So it's not something that's restrictive. It's something that is inclusive, and it's really welcome for you to go and avail of it and learn how it can benefit you. So with that, Peter, I want to thank the panelists for their great contributions today, and back to you for the closing. Thanks. Okay. So you guys who have your video on, just stay there for a second because we're going to call everybody back. So I'd like to thank Graham Pugh, Matt Jordan, Jess McDonald, who is omnipresent today, and the team for the work in putting this together. And it's a really great event. Unfortunately, Graham Pugh has been without power in Oregon. He has his power on. He's here lurking in the background. And Bethany, thank you for stepping in. Really, the Clean Power Hub is intended as a place where conversations like this can happen and going into the future. So we'd like to invite you to visit the site and join the community forum. I think Bethany's recommendation on having focused communities of practice and maybe developing reasons for people to pull together on short-term, medium-term, or longer-term initiatives, and that could be easily done through the hub. That's the way it's designed. So please visit that. We will answer all questions. So there are a lot of good questions. We will send a Q&A report, as our comms manager, Mark Tagub, has noted in the chat box. Also, there will be a post-event survey. So when you close this
boy, in this, you know, they never let you go, do they? So you close the webinar and you will get a little pop-up survey. We would like you to answer the survey. If you like this, we'd like you to say why. If you didn't like it, we'd like to hear from you also. So with that, I'd like everyone, including the support staff, to turn on their video, including Graham, including Shirish, and we're just gonna say thank you to all of the participants who got up over 100 at one point. We're really excited about the way things went. And have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.